In a bustling city filled with busy streets and indifferent faces, one man stumbled upon a sight that would change his life forever. Keanu Reeves, the beloved Hollywood star, found himself face to face with a sick and abandoned German shepherd, shivering on the cold pavement. Little did he know, this encounter would lead to a journey of compassion, sacrifice, and a powerful message that would resonate with the world. Sometimes, the greatest stories are born out of the simplest acts of kindness, Keanu would later say. But the road to this realization was anything but simple. Before we dive into this heartfelt story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love tales of kindness, suspense, and humanity, this is the channel for you. Let's spread positivity together. Keanu was walking home late at night after a quiet dinner with a close friend. The city's hustle had calmed, but a light drizzle painted the streets in a reflective shimmer. He loved these moments when the world seemed to pause, giving him a break from the chaos of stardom. As he passed an alleyway, a faint, sorrowful whimper caught his attention. At first, he dismissed it, thinking it was just the wind playing tricks. But then, it came again. A soft, mournful sound, almost as if calling out for help. Curiosity and concern pulled him toward the noise. In the dim glow of a nearby streetlight, he saw the outline of a dog, curled up near a pile of discarded boxes. Its thin frame and labored breathing revealed a painful truth. The dog was not only sick, but starving. Keanu knelt down, his heart aching as he looked into the dog's soulful eyes. The German shepherd, though weak, managed to wag its tail feebly, as if sensing the kindness emanating from the man before it. Keanu carefully reached out, his hand trembling slightly in the cool night air. The dog flinched at first, but quickly relaxed, as if it instinctively understood that this man meant no harm. Its fur was matted, and its ribs pressed against its thin skin. The sight struck Keanu deeply. "Hey there, buddy," he whispered, his voice soft and reassuring. "What happened to you?" The dog whimpered again, attempting to lift its head, but it didn't have the strength. Keanu looked around the empty alley, his mind racing. The drizzle was turning into a steady rain, and the temperature was dropping. He couldn't leave the dog here. Without hesitation, Keanu removed his jacket, draping it gently over the shivering dog. He pulled out his phone to call for help, but to his dismay, the battery was dead. "Of course," he muttered, a half-smile tugging at his lips despite the situation. Keanu knew he had to act fast. Scooping the dog into his arms, he felt its frail body tremble against him. The rain soaked them both as he hurried down the street, his mind focused on finding the nearest veterinary clinic. The nearest clinic was over a mile away, and the streets were eerily deserted. Keanu's arms began to ache from carrying the dog, but he refused to stop. Every now and then, the dog let out a weak bark or shifted slightly, as Keanu's arms began to ache from carrying the dog, but he refused to stop. Every now and then, the dog let out a weak whimper or shifted slightly, as though it was trying to say, "Thank you." Keanu tightened his grip, shielding the animal from the cold rain as he trudged forward. Finally, he spotted the glowing red cross of a veterinary clinic. Relief flooded him, and he picked up his pace, ignoring the throbbing in his legs and the icy rain biting his face. Bursting through the clinic doors, Keanu was greeted by a startled receptionist. She looked up from her desk, her eyes widening as she saw the drenched man cradling the shivering dog in his arms. "Please," Keanu said, his voice urgent but calm. "This dog needs help." The receptionist immediately called for the on-duty vet, who came rushing out with a stretcher. Keanu gently placed the dog onto it, watching as the team wheeled it into the examination room. "Is he going to be okay?" Keanu asked, his voice cracking slightly. The vet, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We'll do everything we can. But the dog is in critical condition, severely malnourished and possibly suffering from an infection. It's going to take time and care." Keanu sank into a chair in the waiting area, his wet clothes clinging to him. The rain had stopped, but the storm in his heart raged on. He couldn't shake the image of the dog's pleading eyes. How long had it been out there, alone and suffering? Time seemed to crawl as he waited for an update. The receptionist offered him a towel and some hot tea, which he accepted gratefully. As he sat there, memories from his past began to surface. Moments of pain, loneliness, and the kindness of strangers who had helped him through dark times. He couldn't help but draw parallels between his own struggles and the dog's plight. After what felt like hours, the vet emerged, her expression calm but serious. "We managed to stabilize him," she said. "He's not out of the woods yet, but he has a fighting chance." Keanu let out a breath, he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Thank you," he said earnestly. "I'll cover all the expenses. Just make sure he gets the care he needs." Over the next few weeks, Keanu became a regular at the clinic. He visited the German Shepherd, whom he had named Shadow due to its dark coat, every day. At first, Shadow was too weak to move much, but with each passing day, his strength began to return. Keanu would sit by his side, talking to him in a soothing voice or reading aloud from whatever book he was carrying. Shadow would wag his tail faintly, his eyes filled with gratitude and trust. The clinic staff were amazed at the bond forming between the two. "I've never seen a dog recover so quickly," the vet remarked one day. "It's like he's drawing strength from you." Keanu smiled, stroking Shadow's fur. "Maybe we're healing each other." Just as Shadow seemed to be on the mend, disaster struck. One evening, Keanu received a frantic call from the clinic. "Shadow's condition has worsened," the vet said. "He's developed a severe infection, and we need to operate immediately. There's a chance he might not make it." Keanu's heart sank, but he didn't hesitate. "Do whatever it takes," he said. "I'm on my way." Rushing to the clinic, Keanu felt a knot of fear tighten in his chest. What if this was the end? He couldn't bear the thought of losing Shadow now, after all they had been through. As he arrived, the vet was preparing for surgery. Keanu knelt beside Shadow, stroking his head gently. "You're a fighter, buddy," he whispered. "You've come this far. Don't give up now." Shadow looked up at him, his eyes filled with a mix of pain and trust. It was as if he understood every word. The surgery lasted several tense hours. Keanu refused to leave the waiting room, pacing back and forth as the clock ticked on. Finally, just as dawn was breaking, the vet emerged, her face weary but smiling. "He made it," she said. "It's going to be a long recovery, but Shadow's a survivor." Keanu felt a surge of relief and gratitude. He knew this wasn't just about saving a dog. It was about hope, resilience, and the power of kindness. Shadow's recovery was slow but steady. Day by day, he began to regain his strength. Keanu made it a point to be there every step of the way, bringing him special meals, toys, and even a blanket embroidered with Shadow's name. The once fragile dog now stood taller, his coat shinier, and his eyes brighter. The staff at the clinic often remarked that they had never seen such devotion from an owner, but Keanu didn't see it that way. "He's more than a dog," Keanu explained to the vet one evening. "Shadow's a reminder that even in the darkest times, kindness can spark life." Shadow's recovery wasn't just physical. The emotional bond between him and Keanu grew stronger with every visit. Shadow would bark with excitement whenever Keanu entered the room, and the wagging of his tail became a sign of his improving health. Eventually, the day came when Shadow was well enough to leave the clinic. As Keanu let him out, the staff gathered to say their goodbyes, some even shedding tears. "You're going home, boy," Keanu said, scratching behind Shadow's ears. "Our real journey starts now." Keanu knew that Shadow's story was too powerful to keep to himself. He decided to share the experience with the world, not to seek attention, but to inspire kindness. Through interviews, social media posts, and charity events, Keanu began to speak openly about the importance of compassion toward animals, people, and even oneself. He collaborated with animal shelters, donating generously to help rescue and rehabilitate abandoned pets. Shadow often accompanied him to these events, becoming a symbol of hope and resilience. One particular day stood out. Keanu visited an underfunded shelter in a small town, where he met a young girl who had recently lost her dog. Shadow, sensing her sadness, walked over and rested his head on her lap. The girl's face lit up, and tears streamed down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from joy. "This is what it's all about," Keanu said to the shelter's staff. Moments like these, as Shadow's story spread, it inspired a wave of kindness around the world. Social media was flooded with stories of people rescuing animals, helping strangers, and finding hope in difficult times. Keanu's fans, already enamored with his humility, rallied behind his cause. Shadow Strong became a trending hashtag, symbolizing resilience and compassion. Keanu used the momentum to launch the Shadow Foundation, dedicated to providing care for sick and abandoned animals. The foundation quickly gained global recognition, raising millions of dollars for shelters and veterinary clinics. One evening, as Keanu sat in his backyard with Shadow by his side, he reflected on everything that had happened. The stars sparkled above them, and the cool breeze carried a sense of peace. "Funny, isn't it?" Keanu said, looking at Shadow. "I thought I was saving you, but you ended up saving me." Shadow barked softly, resting his head on Keanu's lap. Keanu realized that the lesson wasn't just about helping others, It was about recognizing the value of every life, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem. Shadow had reminded him that true wealth wasn't in fame or fortune, but in the connections we make and the kindness we show. As Keanu shared his story one last time in an emotional interview, he said, "Kindness doesn't have to be grand or extraordinary. Sometimes it's as simple as stopping to help a soul in need." Shadow taught me that. If one act of kindness can save a life, imagine what a world full of kindness could do. This story isn't just about Keanu or Shadow, it's about all of us. It's a reminder to never walk past someone or something in need, to look beyond the surface and see the soul. Because kindness doesn't just change lives, it changes the world. If you've made it this far, remember, kindness is contagious. Share this story, spread the message, and let's create a ripple effect of compassion that touches every corner of the earth.